The Tobago People's Party is an organization that is being built from the ground up. We started last year with a group of people coming together saying this is what we want our symbol to look like, this is what we want the name to look like, this is the color we want to use, which is where the blue came about and that kind of stuff. We had our launch, we've been having meetings, we've been having our what do they call it? The ratification of the Constitution. So the Constitution was written, a group of people came together, wrote, put the Constitution together, and we all came together in a nice room and said that, hey, we want to, this is the Constitution we are going to go with for our organization, and this is where we are. So we are now at the point where we are going to have an election, where we are now going to have an internal election for the executive of the Tobago People's Party. And this is where I wanted to talk a little bit, because people are asking questions. You know, I meet people and they're telling me, oh, we're hearing election coming out. What is that for? Is that to change the secretaries and assistant secretaries? Is that to change where people are and that kind of stuff? And I said, you know what, let me do this so that people understand why we are doing this, okay? So the Tobago People's Party is an organization that we are building. Think of it as a company, right? Think of it as a company. And because I am into healthcare, maybe let's use it as a hospital. Think of it as a hospital, right? Maybe let's not use a hospital, but it's a company. The company is a very different entity to the Tobago House of Assembly, okay? The company, the entity, the political party known as the Tobago People's Party, the TPP, is a different organization to the THA. So remember, in 2021 we had elections, assemblymen were voted in, we then got our instruments of appointment, which included people becoming secretaries. I became the Secretary of Health, Zia became the Secretary of Education, the Chief Sec became, well, the Chief Sec and the Secretary of Finance and that kind of stuff. What we are doing now in the Tobago People's Party doesn't really have anything to do with that. The people who are assemblymen, the people who are councillors, the people who are secretaries, the people who are assistant secretaries, they will continue doing their work, because the executive of the Tobago House of Assembly is very different from the executive of a political party. Now, I know that in the past, when those other people who does use red, when those other people had their internal election and who became chairman and who became political leader, and they did all kind of thing and confused the Tobago population. But we are not like that, okay? So the internal election of the Tobago People's Party is going to be basically the engine room of the political organization. What do I mean by that? And this is where I kind of want to go back. Let me go back, yes, to the hospital example. So the hospital is running, and a lot of people don't recognize, which is something I said yesterday in the orientation for the interns. A lot of people don't recognize that that for the hospital to run, as in for you to go in because you have whatever sickness, for you to go into the hospital and get care, get service, get treatment, there are a whole lot of people in the background who are doing non-medical stuff, that are required for the hospital to run. What do I mean by that? There's an entire section that deals with ensuring that the electricity is running. There's an entire section that ensures that the water that is coming into the hospital is clean, and that it is safe, and that it is hot when we need hot water. There's an entire section that works on ensuring that you have oxygen. You know, you come in and they need to give you oxygen. There's an entire section of people who are engineers and that kind of stuff who are working on that in the background. They have nothing, they don't do anything when it comes to medicine, as in they are not doctors, they are not lawyers, they are not physiotherapists, they are not the medical professionals. You have the other side of it. You have an entire group of people who are responsible for accounting, to make sure we have enough money to buy what we need to buy. There are an entire group of people who are responsible for the kitchen, to make sure that it actually have food in the kitchen, so that you as a patient, you need a meal because you are an inpatient, that there is somebody who ensured that there was bread, or there was a salt, or there was carrots purchased so that you could get a nutritious meal. You understand what I'm saying? All of those people in the background are important, because if they don't do what they have to do, the organization, as in the hospital, doesn't function. Imagine if you go up there and you have no lights, you have no food, you have no oxygen, you have no nothing, you have no nothing. Imagine that. So it is the people in the background, in the engine room of the organization, that is critical to ensure that those people who are in the front, those people who you see, the doctors, the nurses, the physiotherapists, all of those people, to make sure that when they come to work and they do their medicine part, that you are in a facility that is working. And that is why we need at this point to have an executive of the Tobago People's Party, to ensure that all of the things that's happening in the background of the organization is working. That, you know, we have two elections coming up. We have two elections coming up, right? General election, whenever they call it, THA elections coming in the future, right? What we need to have for elections coming up, we need to make sure that the party have money. So we need some people in the background who raising funds, who doing, you know, whatever they're doing to raising funds, even if it's 2-3 barbecues, calling up people, asking for donations, whatever it is. We need that happening. We need to ensure that we have, for general election, 2 proper candidates, a Tobago East and a Tobago West candidate. We need people in the background who will ensure that, you see these people who jumping up and saying that they want to be candidates, let me make sure and do a proper background check on them. Let me make sure and find out if they have anything sneaky happening in the background. Let us ensure, for example, that when they are about to go on stage, because we campaign in the middle of the campaign, they are about to go on stage, and you know, they go in and give this speech. Let us make sure that the speech right and the speech proper, and when they get up on stage, they could talk properly and they could actually articulate themselves, and they could say what they need to say and sound good and represent the organization. We need people in the background who making sure that we have the bank account, who making sure that we have the constitution correctly done, who making sure that we have, you know, if we need to write letters to whoever, who are making sure that all of these other things that need to happen in the background are happening, so that the politicians can do the politics in the front. Okay? So if you recognize, the executive of the Tobago People's Party has a mix. The people in the background, the people in the engine room, which would be like the chairman, the vice chair, the general secretary, who are to make sure all of the paperwork in place and everything, the membership and mobilization officer, that is the person who has to go out and ensure that we actually have people who are members of the party who will come out and support us, who will be participating in things that we have, and so forth. We have the education person who will make sure that, you know, all of the information that is needed is out there and in a right format for people to understand. We have the PR person to make sure that, with Facebook page up and running, that we have our website, that if somebody needs us to if somebody again going up and needs to do a speech, the speech right and the speech proper, all of those things, we have all of those things that need to happen in the background while the politician, the candidate, the representatives are doing what they are doing in the foreground, which is the part that you see. And that is why it's so important for us to have people who understand what their role is and who understand that they have to do administrative stuff, who understand that they have to ensure that, if we have a legal challenge and we have a legal problem, we know where we have to call somebody, or we know somebody, or the person who is there already has a good legal background, already has a good understanding of policy, already has a good understanding of the paperwork that's needed, already has a good understanding of the finances and how to raise funds and how to make sure that you're accounting properly. Meaning, if anybody come and say, hey, how much money all you make, how much money all you spend, you can lay out here, this is how much money, this is audited financial accounts and all of those things. Those are the people you need in the background to ensure that everything works well. On election day, for example, you need to have your election officer that makes sure that every candidate that is going up for an election actually has their nomination papers properly done, has all of the requirements, so that when you go, when you go to nomination day and you make a big thing about it, and when you go in and hand them your documents, everything is perfect, everything is well done. That is why you need people in the background, in the engine room, in the executive of the party, who can do the kind of background work that most people don't think about, Now, the other part of the executive is there's a line that straddles the background work and the foreground work, which is where the political leader comes in and the deputy political leader comes in. And I'm sure you've seen that I have thrown my hat into the ring to be the deputy political leader. The chief secretary, the interim political leader, Mr. Farley Augustine, was the only person who was nominated to be political leader. But when it comes to deputy political leader, you have a choice, if you're a member of the TPP, between myself and another gentleman. So it is up to you to decide which one of us you think would be the better person to stand with our political leader, to stand with Farley and so forth, to straddle kind of the political side of it and the engine room side of it. And that's why the executive includes both, for example, the chairman, the vice chair, the general secretary, the elections officer, those people, and the political leader and the deputy political leader. So the two groups together come together to make the executive of the Tobago People's Party. So I just thought it was important for us to think through exactly why we are doing this, for us to understand that we really, really need to put the people who could do that kind of work there, to be able to separate the politics part and the THA part and the who is secretary and who is assistant secretary and who is assemblyman part of it, to ensure that we can build this organization known as the TPP and build it into a strong one where long after I am not in politics, long after I am gone, generations later, we should still be able to say, yes, we built this organization and it is there and it is standing strong. It is standing strong in the political landscape of Trinidad and Tobago, of the Caribbean, and of the world. All right, guys, so I just wanted to take a little bit of time to